Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here, and today's shout out goes to Balaji Prasad 9046. He was first to say first in one of my recent videos, and thus wins this shout out, so congratulations. Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here, with a review of another neat airplane, folks. This is the Flybear FX9672 Darkstar ducted fan airplane, electric ducted fan airplane, EDF. It's another EDF, folks. Now, recently, I reviewed another EDF from Flybear, which is the FX9631, which was a blast to fly, folks. It is still a blast to fly. Mine's still in one piece, although I broke the nose a few times with nose-ins. But look at this thing. It's quite a bit bigger. This one, the 9631, is quite a bit bigger than the Darkstar here, and a bit heavier. I think this thing was about 150, 160 grams. The Darkstar, this one here only weighs 110 grams. Lighter aircraft. Doesn't need as much power as that 9631 with its brushed ducted fan motor. This one has the 9631 has brushless. This one, the Flybear 9672, is a brushed motor aircraft, okay, folks? It has brushed motors. And if you look down the ducts, you can see them in there. Little fans, ducted fans in there with their ducted fan motors. Okay, so this one has brushed motors. I'll talk about them here shortly. Now the nose cone fell off the airplane. I haven't glued it on yet. Main reason being I don't know if this needs any weight on the nose yet, because the other aircraft that I flew there, the FX9631, required some weight be added to the nose. I don't think this one does, though. I've seen some reviews so far, and this one looks like it does not, possibly does not need nose added to the front, because the 9631 was very tail heavy, and hopefully this one's not. Now, I mentioned this weighs only 110 grams with the battery installed, thus it does not require registration or remote ID in nearly all countries. It's a ready-to-fly airplane, comes with its own transmitter. The transmitter is supposedly able to give it out to 150 meters range, which is more than enough for this smallish aircraft. It's a 4-channel airplane, which means we have throttle control. We have rudder control. Now, how do you do rudder when you don't have rudders on this? Okay, we got vertical stabilizers, but no rudder. Well, it is, again, we have 2 motors in here, 2 ducted fan motors. So we do have differential thrust. So there is some differential thrust control for rudder control with this particular airplane. We did not have that with the 9631 with its single ducted fan motor. But since we have dual ducted fans, we do have differential thrust. So true 4-channel airplane. Also got elevon controls for elevator, combined elevator, and ailerons in the back here. So combined elevons control. So it really is a 4-channel aircraft. Now, it's constructed of flexible and crash-resistant EPP foam, like most airplanes are these days. And I mentioned it's powered by 2 brushed motors. Now, those are 8623 brushed ducted fan motors. They do give us plenty of power from what I've seen in other reviews. So we'll see how well we fly it when we take it outdoors and fly it my flight. Now, it is powered under a 7.4 volt 380 milliampere hour battery with red JST connector. So a 2S battery. This is supposed to give it up to about 5 minutes of flight time, which is, acceptable for an EDF aircraft. Okay, that's about what you normally see. Now, mine came with 2. So let's pop it open and show you under the hood here. Here's my second battery here. I'm going to recharge this before we take it for a flight tomorrow. But looking inside, we can take a closer look at the flight control board. And there it is there. Let's see if I can bring it up to within view of the camera and keep it focused. But that's the flight control board of this particular aircraft. Nothing fancy, nothing special about it. Just put it back in there again. There are no additional ports on there for lights or such. So keep that in mind too, folks. Just outboard ports for the motors, and also for the 2 servos that this has for the elevons. So we do have 2 servos controlling the aircraft for the elevons. And let's see, what else about it? Now, it has 3 selectable flight modes that are chosen by this controller. 2 of them are gyro stabilized, A and B. A is gyro stabilized with low bank angles. B is gyro stabilized with high bank angles. And C is full manual control if you want to go manual with this particular aircraft. Now, one thing to keep in mind, this is an EDF jet. EDFs, you don't really want them to slow down. You got to keep them moving, folks, because these can bog down. Okay, they give constant thrust, but not with a lot of power. Okay, but that constant thrust builds up as you speed up, so it maintains constant thrust. So you can get really good high speeds with these particular models, but they don't accelerate greatly. So with that in mind, if you're making high bank angles turns with this, you can bog down the aircraft to install it. So it's best to keep this going as fast as you can and avoid making too high of a banked angle, because there is a possibility of bogging it down and stalling it. So other things about it, the controller. It says the same gamepad style controller as I saw in the 9631. I'm not a particular fan of this particular controller, but with that in mind, you can also use a multi-protocol transmitter with this, and I'm going to try to demonstrate that tomorrow when we take a flying. It uses FX9672 protocol, so you can, again, bind it with a multi-protocol transmitters if you use FX9672. You may be required to update the protocols in your transmitter to get that FX9672, because that is somewhat of a recent addition to the library of the multi-protocol transmitters. So keep that in mind too. Another thing about it, there's no LVC warning with the aircraft. It doesn't warn you when the battery's getting low, so you might want to time your flights to avoid damaging your batteries. 5-minute flight time is the max flight time. But once you start noticing it slowing down, it's time to land. Okay, don't wear these batteries down until they poop out, because you can damage them. Keep that in mind too. Although this does have a timer built into it. It beeps every minute that you fly this controller, so that that annoying beep that you hear every once in a while, that's a minute timer warning you of 1 minute flight time. Now let's go over what you get in this package. You get the aircraft, of course. Let's put the top back on to make it look a little more pretty for the camera here. Get it on there. So you do get the aircraft, of course, and you do get a set of landing gear for it. Now, I'm not going to fly with landing gear. That's just added drag to the EDF. You don't want you want to go as fast as you can and avoid adding additional drag. And also, I'm not going to be taking off from a smooth surface. I'm going to fly in a grassy field as I normally do, to avoid cracking it up too badly in my flight tomorrow. Additionally, you get the instruction manual. The instruction manual is in Chinese and also in English, but it's very brief. But again, there's not much to this aircraft other than 3 switches here. 2 gyro stabilized and 1 manual. On-off switch on the controller. It's a mode 2 controller, so this is throttle, this is rudder, this is elevator, and this is ailerons. And we do have trim control for elevator and for the ailerons, and also trim control for the rudders if it's veering off to the left and the right, and also on-off switch. And this button here is, they say rudder. If I remember correctly, with the 9631, pressing this switch makes it fly faster. So in effect, what it does, I believe, when you press this button is gives a little more downward trim on the elevons there, so it'll fly a little bit faster, quite a bit faster actually. And doing such might be needed to avoid stalling, so keep that in mind when you're flying this. Okay, other things you get is a charger for this 2S battery, and you get, mine came with two 2S batteries. I think that's the standard version. It's coming with 2, but I'm not sure if there's 3 or a single cell. But I do recommend having at least 2, because when you're flying for 5 minutes, you're going to want to fly again for another 5 minutes at least. So maybe even get a 3rd battery to keep on flying. However, since these are brush motors, I always recommend when you're flying a brush motor aircraft, give it at least 10 to 15 minutes flight or time between flights to allow the motors to cool down, to improve the longevity of the motors. So that's the Flybear FX9672. I'm excited to fly it, folks. Let's take it out in the field and see how it flies. Hope you enjoy this flight. Hi, Quadcopter 101 here. Before we go on, I wanted to have one more thing to show you here. I just got back from flying this, actually, folks. And I noticed something about this plane when you're flying it, particularly that differential thrust. It's very strong on this plane. Okay, first you got to arm the motors, get the motors running. But either way, either the aileron control will activate differential thrust along with the rudder control. You can hear it there. But the end result of this differential thrust, these one motor spinning faster than the other, this plane can pivot in midair. Okay, it was pretty interesting. I didn't comment much on it while I was flying it, but notice when I go flying this, when I make these sharp turns in midair, that I can just pivot this thing in midair and get some interesting spins in midair. So just giving you a heads up there. Watch for it when we go flying. So let's take it for a flight and show that. Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here, and welcome to beautiful Pleasant Ridge Park for the test flight of the FX9672. Okay, to start this up, we need to plug in that battery first, and that is located under here. So let me do that first, folks, and then we'll plug it up and connect it to the controller. So hold on while I do that, folks. Okay, the battery's plugged in. Let's turn on the controller now and bind it to the aircraft by up and down on the throttle. Okay, let's test the surfaces. Rolling left, rolling right. That's right, rolling left. Okay, I'm trying to imagine here what it's going to do. Down and up. Trying out that differential thrust. That's working too. Throttle's working too. So we're ready to go. So we are going to start out in beginner mode. And the wind is coming from that direction. I'm going to push it and give it a full, actually, can I hold it this way? I'll toss it this way. Let's give it full throttle and give it a toss. So holding it like that takes you right to the air, folks. Wow, flies nicely. Increasing throttle. Coming overhead. Okay, I want to go press this rudder button here. See if that speeds it up. It does. That's what I want. I want it to be faster. So it gives it a little more downward trim is what it does. Flies nicely, folks. Going to B. Harder bank angles, is that true? Yeah, it is. Now remember, in EDF, you got to keep it running. Got to keep it moving. Because they do bog down. Yeah, if you slow down, they can bog down. Now, I got a wind today. It is kind of breezy. About an 8-mile-per-hour wind, coming downwind right now. This thing moves. Okay, coming around. Let's try turning it with differential thrust. There's not much turn with the differential thrust. I'm gliding right now. Look at that. Just holding itself in the air there. Okay, throttling up. Wind is picking up big time. Wow, look how fast that thing can go. I'm only half throttle. Looping it. Just wanted to loop it one time. Keep it moving. You got to keep it moving. And I'm flying too far away from you for you even to see what I was doing there. I'm going to be. Wind is picking up. Look at that. It's hovering. And the wind stopped it there. And I stalled it there. So see, you got to keep it moving. Throttling it up a bit more here. Coming around. And you do need a big field for this thing. It uses quite a bit of real estate to fly. Going up there, I'm going to go upwind a bit, turning around and gliding it. And then we're giving it some throttle again. It was stalling there. Pulling it, trying to get down here low. The Darkstar. So yeah, Flybear has come a long way in what they've been producing lately. Oh boy, you see, I almost bogged that one down. Remember back 10 years ago, they would produce these little toy planes. Little toy planes, 2-channel planes. But wow, they've really picked up. They're turning it on a dime there. I gave a diagonal on the sticks. You can turn it on a dime, but you got to keep it moving. Throttle right back up afterwards. Diagonal turning. Okay, that's about 4 minutes, I'm guessing. We got to start thinking about landing here shortly, because I don't want to damage that battery. Zoom. Fun plane. It is a cool plane, isn't it? Oh, this one flies real well. Okay, we're going to call it quits here shortly because I want to save that battery. There's no timer on this, but I'm not noticing any reduction in ability to fly. Let's fly this diagonally. I'm trying to stall it. Look at that, look at that, look at that. I did stall it for a bit there. Okay, now it's getting weak. Let's bring it in for a landing. Oh, nice plane. Nice plane there, Flybear. This was fun. A blast to fly. Actually very maneuverable. You give a diagonal like that, and it turns on a dime. I was surprised. So really cool airplane from Flybear, FX9672. Hope you enjoyed that flight. I have a second battery. Let's stick it in and see how it works with my multi-protocol transmitter. So hold on, folks. Okay, I put a second battery in there, and I'm firing up my multi-protocol transmitter, my T-Lite. I like this transmitter, by the way, folks. However, it's gone up big time from its original price. But if you can find them, I highly recommend this particular model, the multi-protocol T-Lite from Jumper. Okay, that should bond it. You heard that beep, beep, beep. We got it. Let's see. Making a right bank. That looks right. Left bank. That looks right. Down. Up. Throttle. And it should be stabilized in mode 1. Let me check. Yep. And this should be unstabilized. Just wind buffeting protection. So it is ready. Let's see if this flies with the multi-protocol Jumper T-Lite. Using FX9630 protocol, folks. FX9630. So here we go. Sure does. Flies very well. Feels much better, actually, with this particular controller. Let me adjust the trim a bit. It's climbing quite a bit with this. We're gliding. Look at that thing just hovering in the air. Okay, we got a wind picking up here. And this is flying in the wind. I didn't think this could fly in the wind, but it can. It's actually a good glider. Actually a very good glider, I'm surprised. Okay, let's get it moving. Throttling up a bit. Going into that wind. That wind's picking up big time. Let's come downwind and show you. Zoom. Throttling up. Into that wind. Okay. That's why it's not going fast that way, but when you come downwind, zoom. This thing's cool. I didn't think this would be cool because, you know, it's got brushed motors, but it's still cool. Still a cool plane. Yeah, I'm flying into the wind, folks. That's why it's not going fast. Let's see if I can do a fast run by us going downwind. Zoom. I gotta come down lower too. Because that wind, it keeps wanting to climb. But yeah, this flies nicely with the jumper. Let's go to position 2. Coming around. Boom. Get do weird trying to stall it. I know this will stall, but it's trying to stall while up high. I'm trying to bring it down low too on this a little bit breezy day, somewhat overcast too at the same time. But you got to pick up some speed there. I was bogging down. Give it a little throttle. So yeah, I just want to demonstrate you can fly this with the T-Light, and demonstration is complete. So we're going to be bringing it in here shortly. Let's see if I can do a run around myself here, getting it down lower. And bringing it in. This thing glides real nicely. Let's get it up in the air, show you that one more time. Put it back in the air, show you how this glides. We'll take it that way and glide it all the way into the wind. We'll take it up a bit higher. Get some speed on it. Going upwind. Coming around and cutting throttle. Gliding it in. Let's see if we can bring it all the way in from over there. Look at that thing glide. Really nice glider. Okay, there we go. So 9672, nice airplane, fun airplane. Flybear has really improved over the years. Yeah, 10 years ago I was testing little 2-channel airplanes. You know, they were only like $20 from Flybear. That's what they made back then. But now they're making cool stuff. Really impressive. So, hope you enjoyed this flight. This is Quadcopter 101 with the Flybear FX9672. And I just flew it with Multiprotocol using FX9630 protocol. So, hope you enjoyed this flight. This is Quadcopter 101. Signing out. Hi, Quadcopter 101 here again. Hey, if you want to get your own shout out in one of my future videos, make sure you subscribe to my channel. It's real simple. Just go to my channel page and click on that subscribe. And also make sure to click that bell button right next to the subscribe button. That way you get notified when I release a brand new video immediately and give you a chance to get that first shout out. So give it a try, folks.